Hi Pisces, this is your December reading, Sagittarius season. All information to work with me one-on-one is below, as well as the extended version to this reading, which we get more in depth, which is in a Patreon link. It's the first link below. Ten of Cups, Empress, Strength, and Magician. Came out right away. So this is about where your mind's at, like where you're focused on. The Ten of Cups is this fulfillment, this where you're putting your energy, where you're putting your mind, your emotions, where you're at right now, maybe what you're thinking about, and maybe it's your future, maybe it's you're planning the next 10 years of your life. For some of you, maybe you are growing a family. This could be growing a business. But this is about how this construct and this idea of what you want and how much you not only desire but are capable of it, how you are able to have it and attain it. But something interesting, this feels like very interesting because it's a very bright reading, right? So there's so much yellow here. So there's something that definitely has to do with like where you are in your power, what that looks like. And if that's what you're wanting, this 10 of Cups energy, then naturally, like if that's something that you deeply desire, especially if it's like a subconscious thing, like you definitely know that this is what you authentically want in your life, or what you're looking, or the goal, or a part of the goal, or this is how you just want to live, then it's like your subconscious is preparing you for it. So if that's what you want, then you're going to be put up against how strong you are. How bad do you really want this? What are you willing to sacrifice in terms of comforts or attachments? Because usually when we start to, and this is actually a big part of Leo's reading, which is the Strength card, so it's possible you might want to check that out as well. So you maybe are in this place where you're growing in this way, and you are feeling the change, right? The expansion of it all. Especially if you are having, expanding your family in any way, then you may have a moment where it's just so, it could feel overwhelming, or like a lot, or what if you can't, making up all these maybe what ifs in your mind. Perhaps you're wondering, maybe you're just going through all of this doubts, all of the doubts that come along with everything too, but you're strengthening that part of yourself. You're strengthening, and I always like feel down here because it's so much yellow, so it relates to this chakra, particularly that is associated with yellow, and that's the very basics of it. But all of these combined, even just looking at these cards, is about how you can really learn from what's happening right now in your life. If you want this, then this needs to grow, right? Your strength needs to grow. There needs to be this understanding of, and I love this interpretation of this card where she's shutting the lion's mouth, because in order to really hear yourself, and this is a part of Sagittarius season, this is this theme, and their reading too, which they show up too, so you might want to check those out, or maybe those two different people in your life, which we'll get more into that. But to get back here, it doesn't matter how much you say you want something. You can say it 1,000 times. You can think it and see it 1,000 times too. And that's been a huge, very basic understanding of what manifestation is, of what this very trendy word, and it's been a long-term trend. This isn't a trend that's only been happening for a few years. The word manifestation has been around in at least the spiritual communities for a while. If this is new to you, then it's possible that that's all you know of it, or that's all you've understood of it. Maybe you know nothing about it. So basically, manifesting, when you're wanting something or desiring something, or you know something's for you, life will try to make that happen for you in many different ways. And the biggest way is how we subconsciously learn. And this is what we go through to the best of my abilities and the best in this time, the best that we can do here, because our energies are coming together. And I know a lot of you Pisces out there watch, so hi, thank you. I really love you guys so much. And it's because with no choice, you enter this world and you have the hardest possible thing to do on your plate. You're the last sign, you're the elder, you're the one that goes through all the signs in order to get there. So therefore, your lessons on this life, which I believe, if you take this too, I believe that being on earth is just learning, constant learning. Everyone has their own frequency, everyone has their own path. Everyone comes in with different things to accomplish, right? And in astrology, what I've learned, it's your sun sign. Your sun sign is what you're growing into. So especially for you Pisces, suns out there, Saturn has also been in your sign. And I'm going to reiterate this for a while. And what I've learned is that when Saturn's going through the sign that just so happens to be your sun sign, if you are watching this for Pisces sun, then it's almost like you're going through another Saturn return. So what that means is, like, everyone goes through the Saturn return, where Saturn returns to their natal placement. And remember, being birthed into the world isn't easy. You're being literally made, and then all of a sudden you come out, right? And that's where, and wherever Saturn is where your Saturn return is. So you have this around the late 20s area into the 30s, all depending on how it falls. But it's always around that time from like 27 to 31. It really depends, because it still comes in and out. Saturn is slow moving, obviously, because it takes that long, and it comes in and out as it transits. Why do I take so long to explain this? Because I want you to understand that Saturn's been dipping in and out of Pisces for a while now. Now it's there, and Pisces is it's a dreamy sign, but not only dreamy, there's a lot more fluidity with Pisces than there is with Saturn. Yet with Saturn, there is less surprises, right? So you know what's going to happen, and what's going to happen is that you have to get to the nitty gritty of these things. So if there's something going on with inside of you, and it's constantly coming up and it's screaming for attention, and you're looking for it externally, most likely it's going to ask you, eventually it's going to come down to how much attention you're giving this part of yourself. And if you've only given it attention in ways that didn't help it, what can you sit with yourself? Can you ask yourself and allow it to come up? Like, I'm going to keep shuffling because we're really into it. Can you quiet down that part enough to actually hear what it's trying to tell you? You know, something happens and you have this reaction, and all of a sudden there's emotions, and yes, that's important to release, but when can you, if you're in this particular situation, when can you take a moment to see, okay, is this a pattern? If this is going to be the pattern, this is what's going to be for the next, year and a half or so to 2 years, how can I be fluid with myself while life is being so rigid, right? Mutable sign. What and where can I get more disciplined or strict even, or where can I place more value where life is asking me to at this time? And where is it asking you to be more fluid? Where is it asking you to pull out the skills that you know you have, that you know are innately within you? And why is this happening? Well, it's possible that you're coming into this change. you're wanting to change, you're wanting things to maybe be different to an extent. You're looking to level up, as they say, and therefore life is going to bring a series of moments into your life. And Mercury will be going into retrograde soon, which is another, yes, it has its stigma, but it's a good time for you to, it's in Capricorn. So, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So it's a really great, actually, time for you to do that restructuring, because Capricorn likes to do that. They're cardinal earth. They like to move like actual solid things around, right? So maybe that's something that you look to do. So we have the Four of Pentacles and then the Four of Cups. Of course, this may make you want to hold on tighter to what the part of you that feels secure, knowing that even though you want more, these things have worked, right? This part of you has worked for X amount of years, but now over the past year and a half, slowly but subtly, it's been showing signs that this isn't working anymore. That some kind of contract that you've made with yourself just isn't working anymore. And you're in this mutable sign, and it's Sagittarius season, and it's the holidays, and you're like, okay. So you're telling me all of this, and it's the holidays, and there's so much to do, and there's so much to shift. There's so much shifting, and what else, right? Well, Sagittarius isn't good for one thing. They're really good at pointing out where things need strengthening, where things just aren't working, and they're not afraid to be very blunt about it until it's about themselves. And a lot of us are like that sometimes, right? And then you hear it, and then you hear it again, and then you hear it again, and all of a sudden you feel it for someone else, and you're like, oh shit, I did that too, I do that too. And that's where the humanness comes in, right? Knight of Pentacles in reversed. So what stops you, and what stops all of this, and what has been stopping all of this is, it's possible that you may, and this doesn't work for you, that's fine, but you may get to a point where you're like, okay, I'll finally do it, but then all of a sudden you're like, something good happens in the area that you're trying to move away from. The career, the person, this looks like a specific person that's actually just not good for you. But this also could be like it looks like a good opportunity, but it's actually not, and they just keep, and this thing or this person, this job or this person or this habit that just won't let you go, or this memory or this feeling for nostalgia, whatever that is, and we're just going to use it as a person. If this is a person that just keeps trying to come back in, or just keeps this kind of, I give to you when I feel like attitude, you can say to yourself, well, this doesn't have to be true, but where are you doing this with yourself? Where are you not putting the energy? Maybe it finally clicks like, oh shit, I need to put whatever I thought I was putting into that, into what I really need to do, into strengthening the part of yourself that can spiral. Because, and why I say this, well, Saturn being in your sign, we're in a very spiritual time. You are a spiritual sign, but you also have to, of course, grow into that, right? So this month, it's about really deciding, and it doesn't have to be a end-all be-all decision. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that what's changing is big. That you may realize that you have been sitting on an idea, you've been sitting on something that's been your own. And for some reason, it could be easier to want validation from someone else. Person, job, a boss. This is maybe what you're crying out for. But the strength and the compassion to finally say to yourself, you know, you don't need that from anyone else. You only need that from yourself, and hopefully, and from your higher power, right? If you're deeply desiring something, it's going to want to make its way into your life. And it is, and it does. But it's not without doing that work. And the work is just staying in your worth long enough to make smart and solid decisions for yourself. And if there's anyone or anything that sways you out of that, we must remember that that's from also your decision. Eventually it's your decision to allow people to have some hold over you, or something outside of yourself to have some kind of hold over you. But if you decide to break out and you decide that that's not true, and you focus on what you need and what's important to you, it's a lot, and we'll get more into this into the second part. And it will maybe be a period where you do need to trust more than what you've seen. You do need to understand that it is very internal, regardless of how great she looks. It's a very internal thing. And this is in the spot where it is. And it's coming out, and you're blossoming and you're blooming, and there's so much that blooms from this death, or a series of deaths, or maybe it's this big thing that encompasses so much more. Because this month, or this person, or this time has the guts to share with you, and to say that I love you enough. And you even have this for yourself. Maybe you're finally in a place where you can actually receive, okay, like, this is a magical time. If you're saying you don't want to waste it, if you're saying you have the strength, if you're saying this is what you want, let's make it happen. Let's do what brings you back to an empowered state, where you can feel lucky and lighter than you have felt in a long time. But we need to address something so specific in order to get there. And if you're willing to do that, which this 8, so we have this strength, which is the 8, and then we have the 8 of Pentacles. We have 2 4s, 8. I think that's a good sign that you do. That if you do, let's say you're in a moment and you feel stuck, you're in your head, you're doing this. You don't have to abruptly do something unless that's how you change, but what if you slowly start walking towards your journal, just for example, and you just start writing it out. You slowly, you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna sit, I'm gonna sit with it on my lap. Maybe you decide to write, maybe you don't, right? Maybe it's about building your business. What if you just start looking at offerings? You just start looking at something that inspires you, and you just give yourself 30 minutes to do these things. Just one thing, whatever it is. And that's like a very Saturn structured thing, but writing or creating is a very Piscean. Visualizing, enjoying something you really like to watch, giving yourself inspiration, because that's what towards the end, you'll need that to keep going. Maybe it's a new contract with you and yourself. Venus is in Libra, Jupiter is in Taurus. Neptune is going direct this month too, which is your ruling planet, one of yours, Jupiter and Neptune, and it's in your sign. So you may feel by the 6th, you may feel some kind of relief, but it will also be a little hazy at first. That's where this doubt and structure, that's where everything, I think, really begins to change and shift. Because because you can and because you're worth it. A gift in itself for the holidays. We're gonna get right into the second part. Obviously, look at this. And Pisces, we'll see you next month. I hope you enjoy yourself or be around people that you can enjoy time with this month. See you soon.